Mic check. Used to cop a lot, but never cop no drop. Hold mics like ponytails tight and bobble ops. Stop and stick around, come through and dig the sound of the fly brown 6060 cycle. Who throws a dick around? Bound to go
yeah, you're accomplishing a lot of things you've been wanting to.
Yeah, it's
probably more so, right?
Yeah, but it's me constantly just okay. If I do this here. Well, yeah. Let's start this thing. I want to.
No, I mean we're doing it. We're good. Yeah, we're in it. So,
like, I can only do so much by myself.
Yeah.
I realize that you are like the performer, but it's kind of hard to be like the manager and the assistant and like the video
doing all the other stuff. Yeah.
At the same time, you know, I used to get really exhausted, and then I was like, okay, I'm doing the bulk of the work, developing a talent, developing a skill set, you know, if it's voice or impressions or specifically on those types of things, I've developed that. I'm still developing that. Now I need to know how I can utilize it.
Yeah.
So I don't recommend anyone try and do all this by themselves.
Yeah.
I do recommend, like, find who you are. Once you know who you are in this, then find people that are like you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
It has been a journey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only a year in, just over a year, and same thing, like you do more than I do, I feel like, because all those skits you put out and, like, all the impression work you do on top of comedy, like, I do the podcast and stuff. And yeah, it's like just the podcast and comedy for me has been difficult to manage, you know, because it's a lot of with the editing and the camera. You saw but I mean, you get into like I've gotten to the point where, like, when I can afford it, I'm hiring someone to do all this crap because it's not where I want to invest my energy. I want to invest my energy on my craft.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I feel you on that. Yeah.
No, I mean, you should be proud of yourself.
Thanks.
I've never been to Kill Tony. You should be proud of yourself with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Alone. What motivated you to? I never really had to ask you. I know this is supposed to be, but I wanted to like ask you what motivated you to go and give that a shot
For Kill Tony. Yeah. So I've described this to a couple people that I've talked to on the podcast, but basically, before I started comedy, I saw Kill Tony.
Right.
You know, and it was a motivator for me to even start comedy. Because I had been thinking about it before I started watching Kill Tony, but I never made the jump to do it. I was like, oh, that's stupid. That's so far-fetched, you know? But when I saw people bomb in front of millions of people on TV, I'm just like, oh, I could try that. Yeah. You know, what's the worst that can happen? Right. So, you know, I wasn't even planning on signing up so early. I've signed up twice. The second time I signed up was when I got on. But the reason I felt like I needed to sign up is because, so I have a general plan of the things that are going to happen in my life. And one of those things is having a kid. Yeah. And having a kid conflicts with the business of comedy. Right. And I want to be at least in a position to where hopefully before I have a kid, I want to be making money full-time off of comedy. So I can, you know, not only focus on my kid, but focus on my craft and not get stuck in a corporate job for the next 20 years. So because of that, the reason why I tell you this is because Kill Tony is the biggest comedy platform right now. And I'm not built, nor am I ready for that stage. But the way I see it is if I have the opportunity to get on a stage that big this early on, it does nothing but help me. Right. Whether I bomb, whether I do good, it helps me.
Yeah.
I was 8 months in, 8 months in, there's other people on Kill Tony early in comedy or even their first time they've gotten on, but like getting on that early, like, yeah, the possibility of me bombing, and yeah, it happened, but the panel liked me. I got good things out of it. I learned things that I could have done better. And to perform in front of 250 people, I was 8 months in. Nobody really gets that opportunity. So it's like, it helps. It's going to help me regardless. And I want to keep signing up. I want to keep getting on because I feel like the more I do it, the earlier I do it, the quicker I'm going to get better at this. And it's not compared to anyone else. It's just how I see the path in my head. That's going to be my path kind of thing. I don't know.
I love that mindset. I love that mindset because that's the mindset I had at 16 years old. When I quit my football team, I was like I don't know, football goes by divisions if you're like in a community. So like the midgets or the mighty mites, or I don't know what division I was.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel fulfilled. Mm-hmm. And I told my dad that I'm quitting football and I want to be a stand-up comedian. Mm-hmm. He didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
He didn't know anything about comedian. You know, he's straight from Kingston, Jamaica.
Yeah.
Right? My father's from Kingston, Jamaica. He came to this country. He'll tell you 3 different stories on how he got to this country. Don't believe any of them. Okay. But I told my father when I was 16, I said, hey, I'm looking at Kevin Hart, Cat Williams, Dave Chappelle, all these guys, and I want to do this. I want to do this probably for the rest of my life. That was 16. I'm 28 now. Forget my math. 12 years ago? 12? Wait. No, that was how long? I'm sorry.
12 years ago would have been 2012.
That was, yeah. Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I was somewhere around there. So I think that happened in the summer as I was going into my senior year of high school. And so when I went to my senior year of high school, shouts out to Heritage High School, by the way, Palm Bay, Florida.
Yeah.
I always got to rep them because that's where a lot of these dreams for me started.
Yeah.
I went into the high school, my senior year. I joined TV productions. I joined chorus, and I joined musical theater. Mm-hmm. So those, I think people can see that now, the impact that those had on me. Mm-hmm. Chorus helped me develop a lot of vocal ability, like octaves and what's a tenor, what's a soprano, what's all of those types of things, especially when I learn other people's voices. I know, like, okay, he's got a lot of bass in his voice, or they're very nasally, or like that really helped me on musical theater. That helped me stage fright because I wanted to do this, but I had stage fright. Like I would shake. I would shake in front of people. I remember the first time I did get up in front of a group of people that I can remember. I was in high school, and we were getting ready for this terrible test that I'm so glad it doesn't exist anymore. It's called the FCAT.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God, I hated those.
The worst test to ever exist in life.
Yeah.
All right. And my English teacher, because we had to take the English, the math, and I think the science, right? And then they grade you like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you get to 5 or a 6, you pass. Mm-hmm. But she wanted to help us learn like alliteration, automatopoeia, and all different types of grammar. So she had this poetry slam where we had to incorporate those types of grammar and the grammatical terms into our poem. But she decided to ask a student host, any student host would MC this event. And I rose my hand. And I remember that I think I was 16. And I went up there and I was shaking, but I said something. I don't know what I said. And it made the audience laugh. And I stopped shaking.
Yeah.
I stopped shaking. And that was my junior year. And then my senior year, when I got to TV productions, I learned like the camera and like everything that I'm seeing here in this room. I learned like editing and things of that sort. And that helped me find out what consistency is. Because every morning we have to get on the announcements. Every class has to watch the announcements, and there'll be like 2 student anchors, you know what I'm saying? And the student anchors are giving you the news. Here's what's for lunch today. We got the prom coming up. We got the school dance coming up. But we had creative ways of doing it. So this was my chance to showcase how creative I could be as a senior in high school. And I would come up with characters like Dorisha. That was like the girl version of me. And I would come up with like old, that everybody at Heritage, they know. Dorisha was an old, like if this, that was the girl character of me. I had this other character like Old Man Gayle. That was a senior citizen of me, right? And then I had a bunch of other characters. So I would use my creativity to get the messages that needed to be announced in the morning, and kids were loving it. Kids were loving it. And they voted me like the funniest kid in the school or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Throughout that year. And when after I graduated, because I made such an impact there, from what they told me, when I left, there was 5 classes. I graduated in 2014. So when I left, it made such an impact, and I thank God for this. Classes of 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018 all knew who I was because they kept playing those skits and sketches I did every single class. And they built those to become classics, right? And I didn't know that could happen, but I then started, I think I did my first open mic when I was 18 years old. And shouts out to Allie, by the way. She knows who she is. She went with me, and I don't know what I said. First time open mics are probably the worst time, but it's the best time to get those anxious feelings off of you. So I don't know what I said, but I went up there at 18. I really wanted to do my first public open mic at 17, but they said I had to wait till I was 18. And I was like, man, I've been doing this in high school, but they say, well, this is not high school, so you got to, do something different. I went up there and I said a bunch of things I'm not going to repeat, by the way. But that was the first time, and the second time I had a laugh. When I felt the laugh, I was like, okay, man, this is gonna be addicting. And 18, and now I'm 28, and I just kept at it. This is something I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. And people didn't believe me, but now they see me 10 years down the line and like, no, he's really serious about that. So I think development for me was key. Now, a lot of people know me for voice impressions. I'm gonna tell you about me starting out. When I first started out, I didn't do any. Not for the first maybe 3 or 4 years, until I was around 20, 21, 22. But for the first couple of years, I was just trying to figure out who I am in front of this microphone, who I am on stage. So 19, 20, 21, I'm like, okay, this is interesting, but this is almost like growth. I can come up here and share who I am today, and then next year I can give like an update. So I'm kind of finding out that comedians that I looked up to, got some on the wall, like the Richard Pryors, they use their vulnerability and the things that they went through in life to entertain this audience, but not only entertain this audience, but tell them what they're going through. And for the first couple of years, I would just like, telling jokes because I wanted to tell the jokes. I don't think until I was 22 that I really got into like, okay, I grew up, my father's Jamaican and my mother's from Jacksonville, Florida. Like I really started to dive into who I am. But for the first couple of years, I just want to be funny, right? I did end up doing one impression around 20 to 22, and that was a Chris Rock impression at the end of every set. I would do a Chris Rock impression at the end of every set. Everybody from Brevard in comedy, they know that I would do that Chris Rock impression at the end of every set. But I still felt like I was disconnected and I wasn't developing like an audience. So around 22, I'm like, man, am I afraid to tell people who I am? Am I afraid to dig into it? I'm looking at all the greats, the Pryors and the Carlins, and I'm studying how in touch they were with the audience, with the people. And once I saw them, and I watched that Richard Pryor special today, and I watched George Carlin and his bits and about society, not only about society, but his version of the world and how he feels. And I would say, no, I got to be able to talk about who I am. And that's what I'll say. Like, I'm no super famous comedian. I'm not like a legend or an expert or anything. I hope to be amongst the comedy gods one day. But anyone that's came to me and say, hey, Dorian, when you started doing comedy, like, how was it for you? I just wanted to be funny at first. I wanted to learn how to write a joke. Now, I think what makes the joke original, what makes jokes original is your life. No one has your life. No one has done exactly what you've done. There might be things that are similar, but I don't think, for me, I don't think anyone is like, make it, personify it. We're talking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, okay? Everybody's talked about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but what's your version of it? When you're able to take that, you can make it yours. A new, interesting take on something that's been done before is always gonna, to me, it's always gonna be a good thing. So when I was able to take, like, me being 22, me being, and I was a virgin at 22, by the way. I was a church boy. I got to talk about it.
Yeah.
I was a virgin church boy. I grew up in church. I felt like I was so innocent that I had nothing to talk about. I came up in church. I grew up with a black father. My father is black. I know that's like obvious, but my father's black, but my stepmother's white. So, I didn't have black cousins. I had white cousins too. You know what I'm saying? I had black cousins and white cousins. I had, I hadn't been, and comedians would tell me to, I'm not gonna say their names, but they tell you, hey man, you gotta go get your heart broken. That's the worst advice I ever taken in my life. Because not only did it give me material, and I put out my first 50-minute special. Shout out to Jackie Knight and the legendary Jackie Knight at Jackie Knight's Comedy Club. Dorian Gayle at Jackie Knight's Comedy Club. That's the name of it. That was like for me to have a body of work. What I'm working on right now, it's gonna be so in tune and so in touch because it details my journey from 22 to 28 before I enter my 30s. And I think this hour and a half that I'm working on, I'm really working on not just me, but the things I went through, how that's relatable to our current times and the things we go through and relationships and social media and the societal pressures and how we got to be on 10 and how we have to be, perfect in our standards of society and the world and how the world sees you as a person coming up, just trying to be successful. Like, I have a lot of takes on that. A couple of my topics, I mentioned that I'm writing right now. I mentioned I'm torn between grief and heartbreak. Those are the two things that I experienced in my 20s the most. If I wasn't getting my heart broken, I was grieving. I said I was writing a bit. I said I'm always torn between grief and heartbreak because when my loved ones passed away, I was better at grieving. I was able to grieve and get it over with. But my ex-girlfriend who broke my heart, I wanted her to die so I could grieve and get it over with because I'm better at grieving. Not because, you know what I'm saying? Like that, I was torn between those things. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, no, I don't even have to tell jokes per se. I just got to take my life and make it funny. And that's what the Pryors did. And that's what the Carlins did. They took their lives and they made it funny. So you're going to hear a lot from 22 to 28. And my friends know who they are. And I don't use personal clauses or personal names because this is I go very deep when I'm talking about the things that I really went through. They're real things. When I think the first time I was able to take a truth that hurt me so bad, the truth hurt me so bad, but when I was able to take it and make it funny, it was the best feeling in the world.
It is, yeah.
It was the best feeling in the world. And that might have been about 2 years ago. It might have been 2 years ago. And I remember, and I was like, yo, that really happened to me. And I was able to take that and make that funny. Like the priors of the comedy mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And I never forgot that feeling. So once I got that, I'm like, okay,
It's like a breakthrough.
What else can I do?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so real to you.
Yeah.
The audience doesn't know, but it's so real to you.
Yeah.
And then those are the jokes you don't even forget because it really happened in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Those are the jokes you'd never forget that because it really happened. You're not even just writing, oh, I got to write something new or yeah, you might need to write something new, but take what you've been through, put that out, put the punchlines on that. You know what I'm saying? Put the premise on that. That's the best feeling in the world to me.
I agree with you because it's funny you say that. It's so funny that this conversation is happening now because I'll say probably 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just started really feeling it this past week, but I made the decision at open mics to put my phone away. I'm not going to use notes.
Right.
I'm done with the jokey jokes. I do want to talk about my life. And I realized, and this is no ego here, but I realized my whole life growing up, I wasn't a comedian, but I was funny.
Right. No, yeah.
I didn't need to learn all these things. I made people laugh. I know how to make people laugh. Right. So like you said, like what I've been doing lately is like if I go to an open mic, I'll think about things that really just happened. Mm-hmm. And I will go up there and I will try to make them funny. And when it happens, when I make that connection, like you're saying, like when you feel the crowd is feeling you and you're in the moment and you're giving them the truth, you're giving them all, and you feel it inside of your, it's so I know you know what I'm talking about, but other people might not. But it's like, you're like, this is it. Like, this is what comedy is.
Right.
It's not the fucking and sucking and all this shit that, new comedians, which I did myself for the first year, write these jokey jokes about, which is fine. Everyone has their own way to do it. But for me, that's what real comedy is showing the world who I am. So I'm glad I'm learning this now because I'm like, I think it's going to take me further quicker instead of being kept in this rotation of, all right, I'm taking my notebook out at the open mic and read this joke to a crowd. They're not probably going to give me a reaction on it because I'm reading out of a book, and it's a joke I wrote that's not even true, so. I mean, those are fun. It's not like there's nothing wrong with it, but for me, that's the comedy I want to put out there. No. So I feel that, Yeah,
that it's just, it means something to me. Like I have a bit where I'm saying, I said that I was born in June of 1996, right? My father was with two women, all right? One was my mom, one was my sister's mom. And both of our mothers have the same first name. That's not a joke, that's real. Mm-hmm. It's like I don't know, whatever you believe in, God, the universe,
God
whatever
gave
you believe
you a life
in,
joke.
He just wrote it himself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
God's
saying?
the funniest person.
Yeah, and it's like God wrote that himself. And then her mother is white, my mother is black. I'm not going to say their real names, and we're 90 days apart.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And I would say, like when kids, somehow the teacher had that information and they would find out and kids would call me names like mistake and accident. But when I found out that me and my sister's mother, they both had the same name, I went back to those kids. I said, I'm not an accident. I'm a common denominator, okay? All right? Do you do math? I do math. That's a common, okay? 6 out of 6, Like that's how I felt. So that's my real life, That's my real life. Like it when I was able to pull from that, oh man, it's the best feeling.
Yeah, no, it's been great for me these past few weeks because I'm really starting to feel it helping me, especially my confidence on stage because I know what I'm talking about. Like you're saying, like this is my life, so it's so easy for me. Yeah. It's not easy for me, but you know what I mean. Just like it's just different than what I was doing, and this is the path I want to take because I like it.
I'm getting to the point where like some of the joke it be too easy and he just writes himself. Like I tell you, like at 22, when I was 22. What year was I? 1996. I'm trying to do this math. I'd be forgetting. I'm getting up there. I'm not in the 30s yet, but I'm 28. I'm getting close. How old was I? I was 24. 8 years ago was, help me please, because wait. 4 years ago, I was 20. 6 years ago, it's 2024. 2018. Okay. 2018, I was 22. Okay. So in 2020, and it's not a joke, but 2020, I went to this school called UCF, and I flunked out because I saw too many. Like no, but that really happened.
Yeah.
Like that's the name of the school. I'm just following along here at this point. Like small things that I'm finding, I'm like, that really happened. I can take that and turn that into something else. I lost a lot of people along the way, and I would get these panic attacks in the shower. Like I would get these panic attacks in the shower. So I created an arch nemesis. I created this, sometimes like your conscious is like the devil's over here, the angel's over here, however you want it. And like for some reason, both of them were Yoda to me. And the bad Yoda was like, you should probably lean into your fears. And the good Yoda was like, this is just a test of your faith. Like I was having a dilemma.
Yeah.
I would create these alter, personalities to help me push through. But those are things that I really went through, and that was a part of me grieving. Like, I was like, man, I'm losing so many people. They don't get to see it all. But every person that I lost from that age of 22 to 28, they all told me, Dorian, you got to keep going. You can't stop this. You want to be on TV. You want to do these things. You got to keep going. Even I lost 2 people this year, and they were very significant in the messages that they gave me, and they were like my cousin and my great uncle, and they were very inspirational to me. I hold them near and dear to my heart, But yeah, so 22 to 28, when I was 24, I'll tell you, I was from 22 to 24, I fell in love. I was courting a young lady. I went off to college. I thought I knew what I was doing. I did not know what I was doing at all. I thought I was like, man, I'm going to marry this girl. I'm going to go get a job. And, at that time, it was a couple people passing away in my city. I was seeing some unusual type of activity in my city because I grew up not being around like tough. I'm not from the ghetto. I'm not from the hood. I'm not one of those black kids from the ghetto or from the hood. My mother worked very hard to put me in a position to where I could not be affected by those things. She never says that, but I know that she worked very hard to put me in an environment where I never had to have those types of temptations. And that's not saying that those things don't happen, because they do happen in places that you don't expect them to. But for me and where she was coming from, she worked very hard to do the best that she could to put me in a place where she thought I could succeed the best, right? She'll never say that, but I'll just say it for her. And I love her. I love her very much. Her birthday's coming up, so I'll make sure I remember that.
Yeah, don't forget.
But my mother worked very hard to put me in a position to succeed and was in Palm Bay, Florida. And I, by the time I was in my 20s, I was seeing a lot of unusual activities by some of the people that I knew that were getting into trouble. And people were dropping like flies left and right while I was, wanting to be this comedian, wanting to be this guy. And, I was already kind of becoming like a community figure and becoming like someone that was, quote unquote, a role model or inspirational, whether it be in my church, my school, I was very one of those guys, one of those, what they would call a role model, which I've learned that I don't like that word. I'm more preferring of me being honest and having the integrity that I have without having the societal pressure of it. Because I'm just as human. I bleed red just as much. And As we come into like this social media age, and we've seen so many of our idols and so many of our, I don't think anyone should idolize anybody, because every man, every woman, every person, every human can fall, can make bad decisions, and can. In our age, in the 2000s, and we've seen so many role models fall. A lot of them. I don't have to name them.
Some of them are up here.
A lot of them. So
Yeah.
with me, I also think me being vulnerable in my humor, it plays a part, because I'm not putting on a show. I'm telling you exactly what I went through. I made bad decisions earlier in my 20s. I made some terrible decisions. I wasn't the best man that I thought I could be. And now I'm learning that, okay, that's garbage. I'm never doing that again. But let me tell you, audience, let me tell you how funny it was when I was going through it. And that's the beauty of comedy. So 24, I'll be honest, at 24, I went to that school and I flunked out the same year I went to the school. The same year I moved back. I had to move back. That's like the worst feeling ever. I had to move back, tell my family, hey, y'all, I'm not with the girl. I'm not with the school. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm going to say the app. Maybe people don't like it, but I kept jumping on TikTok. I kept jumping on Instagram. And I think, it might have been like September. I'm forgetting the time I put out these. They had these challenges on TikTok, and the day 1, day 2. So I did one. I did like day 1 is Chris Rock. I'm like, day 1 is Chris Rock. Right? I did day 2. Day 2 is Chris Rock. Right? I'm doing day 3. Day 3 is Chris Rock. I can't believe I'm sitting here and the first one did 600,000 views. So I'm like, they've been telling me about these impressions for the longest, but I never really was like, I wanted to develop structure in my humor first. But now I'm like, okay, this must be what they meant. So I think I did 2 more in December of 2020. And for those who know, they've seen it. I think the first one was the Chris Tucker transformation, day 1, day 2, day 3. I was like, day 1 is Chris Tucker. Day 2 is Chris Tucker, man. Day 3 is Chris Tucker, man. You better go to church right now, man. I'm not playing with you, man. Like, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Like, and so when you have a video that does really well, there'll be a couple other social media pages that'll message you and say, hey, we like your video. Would you like for us to repost it? You keep the rights to the video. It might have been December 15th. Of 2020, somewhere around there. I think I woke up that night in the morning. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and I saw a couple messages. I saw like a couple messages from big pages. I don't even remember what the pages were. They said, "Can we repost you and tag you for the credit?" I was like, "Absolutely." And I started to see the impressions and everything start to like trend. I'm like, wow. I just flunked out of college, I'm not saying that this is going to, I'm going to take off, but this is inspiration for me right now. I'm needing this.
Yeah.
Going through heartbreaking grief, what I'm saying? Losing people and going through heartbreaking grief. 2020, this was a year, and 2020 was a tough year for the world. I mean, coming off of a pandemic, coming out of, a political conundrum, coming like 2020 was a year for everybody. Losing Kobe Bryant, Chadwick Boseman. I mean, 2020 was a crazy year. Riots, George Floyd, and all of these things were happening in 2020. That's what's historical. That year needs to be studied. That year needs to be studied. For real.
Yeah.
So, I had my own thing that I was going through in 2020. So when I saw those impressions and things circulate, I was like, let me do one more. So I did one more, and I did the Bernie Mac day 1, day 2, day 3. I posted it, and it did 1 million within 24 hours.
Wow.
1 million views within 24 hours on TikTok. And I had a couple reposts. I was going to work the next day, and it was around 5 a.m. My friend called me. He said, hey, Dorian, congratulations, Steve Harvey's team retweeted you. So I was like,
What?
Stop. I was like, stop. But little did I know, I went on Twitter. My video's right underneath the page.
Oh shit.
So I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I've needed some type of hope, some type of inspiration. And that was 2020. So I kept at it. I kept learning new impressions, and I've met other comedians that did impressionists, that were impressionists. Shouts out to C King, Impression Prince, all of them. I got to give some credit to. I have to, you know, pay my respect and just thank him again, because I always, every time I see him, I thank him. I have to thank Jay Farrell a lot.
Yeah.
I think I met him that following year in the Denaya. I don't know if I'm saying this right. It's close to Miami. It's an improv close to Miami.
Okay.
It was one of the newer improvs. I think I met him in 2021, the following year, and went backstage, and man, that guy is. I've watched him perform. He closed out with this wonderful Eddie Murphy bit. It was crazy. It was like he did 80s, 90s, and 2000s Eddie Murphy. And it was a crazy joke he had at the end. And that was amazing. I'm looking at somebody that, and people can search this too. If you go back on one of Jay Farrell's first videos he made when he was, he might have been like 2021. I have a comment in the video that says, hey, I love this video. Jay Farrell's inspiration. I'm also a young up and rising comedian. I do impressions too. Check out my channel. I might have been 15 when I posted that.
Really?
And now I'm in the room with them.
Yeah.
That was like a full circle.
Full
moment,
circle, yeah.
Full circle moment for me. So I really heavily thank that guy. Just anything that he said to me, you know. I bought a ticket. I didn't know I had to buy a ticket. I went to him. He said, man, do you want to come see me? Just let me know. And because he had followed me on Instagram. Now, that was, I don't remember the month in 2021, but that was after he followed me on Instagram, because he, shouts out to Impression Prince. Impression Prince was on live one day, and him and Prince were talking, and they were talking about comedians who do impressions. So they brought me on, and they brought C King. Shouts out to C King. He's very good at Denzel. He has Denzel Washington down point. And they brought me in, and it is crazy. So when you're on Instagram Live, you can have up to 4 people, 2 up here, 2 down here.
Yeah.
He's doing Will Smith. I'm doing Kevin Hart. He's doing President Barack Obama. He's doing Denzel Washington, and we're just going at it. And he followed me, and he said, man, I like your stuff, man. Keep it up. And I met him a couple months after that. So that was that's one of the guys that I really like. I gotta just say, inspired me from I was a teenager to like now I'm meeting them, and I'm saying, okay, no, I can plan this out. I can actually do this.
Yeah.
And that was 2021. So I closed out that year, maybe like with the following of, I think I had like 100,000 on TikTok at that point. And I think I had like maybe like 19,000 on Instagram, I think. Now, 2022, and I'm going to bring us all the way up to 2024. 2022, I'm continuously putting out content. At this point, I've studied the algorithm, right? So with the algorithm, and it's very calculated. Things that may trend online, you got to jump on those things. The NBA Finals trending, or the Super Bowl is trending, so everyone's making their Super Bowl videos, or whatever's trending that's happening in the news, or the president this, or the basketball player that. When it gets trending, everybody's making their reactions, everybody's making their commentary, everybody's doing their podcast episodes. This is what we're going to talk about this week. You got to attach and give some type of like offering, but you have to give your take on that. That's a part of the algorithm. Also, the peak times, right? So during that, still coming out of COVID in the pandemic, but And I thank the Lord that really gave a lot of creators push.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of creators push. So the peak times too, right? If everyone's watching the Super Bowl right now, you may not want to post.
Mm-hmm.
If everyone's on their phones because something big is going to happen or something exciting is going to happen, you might want to post,
Mm-hmm.
right? If everyone's watching the Oscars or the Grammys, soon as the Oscars or the Grammys, as soon as they get over, people are already online giving their take.
Mm-hmm.
When that incident between Chris Rock and Will Smith happened, I saw it live when I was watching on the TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay. I paused the TV.
Time to work.
I went straight to the camera.
Yeah.
I got to jump on this now.
Yeah.
And I can do the, oh yeah, like, yo, like,
Oh my
I
God.
can't believe he slapped me. The greatest moment in television history. Oh yeah, keep my wife's name. Like, that I jumped on it immediately because me having the ability that I had, I'm like, I got to get on this.
Yeah.
But when those things happen, that's the time to really like, because everybody's going to give their type of take on it. And then you have different times of the day. When is Instagram the busiest? When is TikTok the busiest? When is Facebook, the busiest times of the day? So you got to look at like I would always post 9 a.m. on Tuesdays or 9 a.m. on Thursdays because for that time, I saw a pattern with my videos. When I would post and not 9:01 and not 8:59, but when I would get the video up and it was a real quality video at 9 o'clock, within the next hour, it would circulate.
Yeah.
So I would look up like, when's the best time for me to post and when can I get these videos up? And I kid you not, it was working. And then I think the algorithm also, or social media, which is I don't think right now, as far as we've gotten to the social media world, I don't think social media is on Earth at this point. I don't think it's a real
God controls social media right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even think I think it's a whole other planet to me when you get on there. It's like a whole other world, virtual reality or whatever. But when social media and internet users, when you put out something that goes so viral, the internet's going to attach that to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the guy that does the impression, or that's the Hawk Tour girl, or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to attach that to you until you can brand yourself and make yourself something bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it's going to pick up on too. So
Yeah.
when you go viral, it's gonna be, everyone's gonna be like, oh, this is the guy that does this. And then when you can, sometimes I find it difficult, but when you can break out of that mold and go viral for something else, then they're gonna be like, oh, well, they're good at this too. Or well, that's when you can break out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, I've noticed lately, so like I'll post the podcast on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. because that's what ChatGPT said was
Right.
best, right? Based off of whatever algorithm that YouTube uses.
Yeah.
Now with the shorts, see, I don't know, you have more experience than anyone I know on this, but I reached out to a couple of pages that repost Kill Tony videos.
Right.
Because they were asking me if they wanted to tag me, and I was like, no, just post it, whatever. I don't care. I'm like, I'll make my own clips, whatever. And they're successful. Like a lot of their clips are very successful. So I asked them, I'm like, what do you notice when you post? Because I said, well, first of all, how much do you post? And when do you notice? And one of the pages actually responded back to me, and he was like, or he or she, I don't know, was like, at this point, the algorithm is so jacked up that like it does, like at this point for shorts, it doesn't matter. Like when people first started blowing up, like 2020, 2022, but now it's gotten to the point to where there's so much crap in there that it's just like random at this point. See, I don't know. Do you still experience that, or do you still go by a schedule?
So, all of my videos that are over 1 million and all of them that are over 100,000, I calculated those.
Yeah.
I researched those. The ones that kind of, I don't know, out of nowhere, I don't know if I've been able to determine how those happen.
Yeah.
But I do feel like because I had videos that really blew, and we're gonna get to 2023 because I really love to talk about this year.
Yeah.
That I guess there are users on the internet that have recognized me because of reposts and things of that sort. So they know like, oh, that's the guy that did the Bernie Mac, or that's the guy that did those impressions. So I might start with the one that they like the most, and that might catch on because, and I'll look at the attention span. And I think the platforms know the attention span too, because they won't even let you go over, if you're doing reels or shorts, they won't let you go over a minute or minute and 30, or sometimes they'll extend the time length. But I think it's similar to comedy too. Like in some comedy rooms, if you don't get that laugh in first 3 seconds, it's rough.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied that the same thing with the attention span. What can I do that's gonna, because we're just scrolling.
Yeah.
I want to catch you in the middle of that scroll.
Mm-hmm.
And let me watch the rest
that?
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me watch the rest of it. So that's very important too.
Mm-hmm.
You start out with everyone wears red shirts tomorrow. And then what? Red shirts? I'm gonna keep looking at it because whatever he said was interesting. I want to watch the rest of this video. If you scroll past the video of a man on fire, he didn't light himself on fire. He's already on fire as you're looking at it. You're gonna watch the rest of that video.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That attention span is important too. So I do the impression. I'll start with the one that's gonna immediately catch them, and then I'll go back and I'll look at what was the length of the video that was watched.
It's not just the time and the day that you're posting, it's what you're posting and how quickly so there's so many things that go into it. You have to focus on all those to make it work. That makes sense. Yeah, my reels, I have a hard time catching people.
No. So for me right now, I'm in the middle of trying. Well, not trying, but I'm transitioning from content creator to stand-up comedian. Now, the internet doesn't know I've been doing stand-up for 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not what the internet would consider a stand-up comedian until I get like the one viral video, so the internet can recognize that I'm a stand-up. Right? I create content, so for them in the internet world, I'm a content creator, but I'm also a stand-up comedian. They just don't know that. So when I can get the stand-ups to get the same amount of viewership that the other content is seen, it'll give more recognition to me being an actual stand-up comedian. Because like I said, sometimes I won't say the internet stereotypes, but it makes you a type. Oh, that's the podcast lady, or that's the prankster, or that's the, it can be hard to get out of the box sometimes. I think that's why, at one point I was like, man, should I even be doing impressions? At one point I was almost fed up with it at one point. And then I thought, I don't think I can stop, but maybe I can offer something different, or maybe participate in this dance challenge, or, maybe I can attach, this whatever trending is going on right now, and then say, hey, you can come to a show, look at my website, something like that. Or offer my social commentary on something that everyone's talking about, but do it in my way, so I can make it unique, kind of like we were talking about with comedy. Put your original spin on it. So I think those things help as well. Where was that? 2022? I think I was talking about 2022.
Yeah, you said you're about to go in 23.
2022. Exciting year. So 2021, I met my inspiration, Jay Fair. I met my guy, and shouts out to him, man. 2022, I kept up with the content. I kept learning how the algorithm works. I wasn't really posting a lot of stand-up, but I just wanted to build the following and get some content going. Now, as I'm going along, I'm making real life connections. I'm getting phone numbers and things that, I guess, that people wouldn't usually secure. But for me, making those real life connections and building those relationships, that was really important. So let's go to story time. So it is April of 2022. And I did a video, and the slogan that I used for the impressions that I did was like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I'm doing, Kevin Hart. First of all, people, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I'm doing Chris. Hey man, like a good neighbor, State. I'm doing Jason. Like a good neighbor, State. Like I'm doing the impressions in there. Right. A producer comments in the comment section. Now this is 2022. Keep in mind, you couldn't buy a blue check. So if you were really famous, you were really famous, right? This is before Elon did his thing and whatnot with the blue check thing.
Yeah.
Right? So if you were legit, you might have been legit for real. Now is you can, and I get it, but it's different now. When I first got on the internet, everybody with blue check was famous or rich. It's different now. But he comments and he says, check your DM for more opportunities. So I look at his page, and I'm trying to see if he's, trying to get me to send him $1,000 to Saudi Arabia or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if Forex or something.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if he's.
It's usually what it is.
He's like, I don't know if it's one of those cash app
He's like,
scams.
listen, my mom is sick. I'm in another country.
I made
just need
$10,000 in 2 weeks. Would you like to join?
I'll pay you back.
I'm trying to check his profile to see if he's one of those. He's not.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let me respond. I respond to DMs. He introduced himself. He said who he was, and he said, I don't know if I can say his name. Well, you know what?
Just do your first name.
Or
whatever.
His name is Chris.
There you go.
His name is Chris. We didn't sign nothing, Chris. So
There you go.
His name is Chris, and he said, "Hey, my name is Chris, and I'm a producer, and Paramount BET producer. What we're working on right now is, the industry has changed. You don't have to go to Hollywood to audition for stuff no more. You can come directly from this internet, build your brand, and get to the movies, get to the TV. So we're working on helping content creators such like yourself getting to movies, commercials, and TV, and the real things that you want to do.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in hearing more information? We can talk. Send me your number. So we talked for like 2 weeks. That's April. We talked for like 2 weeks, and like by the end of April, he calls me. He left a message on my phone. He said, "Hey Dorian, we're filming a Burger King BET advertisement for the season finale, the first season of finale of the Miss Pat show. Comedian Miss Pat. She's a brand new comedian at the time, and she had her show out.
She's hilarious.
Yeah, and we're filming a Burger King advertisement for the season finale of the Miss Pat show. Would you like to be in this commercial?" So I immediately said yes. I immediately said yes. Now,
Of course.
keep in mind, I'm still working my day job. I'm a kitchen manager at McDonald's. Shouts out to everybody there. So, my job and like people around me, they kind of knew what I did, but they didn't know yet, right? So the first thing I did before I went to my general manager, because the commercial shot in Atlanta, so I called my cousins up. I said, "Hey, cuzzo, I got a big opportunity, and I want to know if I can stay with you for a little bit because I'm filming this commercial." He's like, "Oh man, come on up." And the second person I called was my late great uncle, Uncle Prince. I love you. I called him up and asked him, Jacksonville area. I said, "Hey, I got this commercial filming. I think I'm going to be on TV. Can I stay with you?" He said, "Yeah, man, anytime." So the last thing I had to do was go to my general manager at my job and get the time off. This was one of the most terrifying things I had to do because I went in to quit. I was like, I made it. This is it. I made it. This is it. Hey, y'all. Hey, like in my mind, but it was terrifying when I got there that day. I was working a morning shift, and I walked in, and she's in the office, and said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" She said, "Sure." I said, I have an opportunity to film a commercial in Atlanta, and I know this is it's not within the 2 weeks notice that we're supposed to give for our request off. But I'm going to take this opportunity. If you have to fire me, I understand, but it's a BET Paramount production, and I really want to take this opportunity to just see what happens. I understand whatever consequences that come with it. And it was a pleasure working with you. She said, "Oh, no, you can go." No, I have a friend that writes for Tyler Perry. She's producing some of his movies now. She's like a co-assistant and whatnot. No, I'm going to give you the time off. You work hard here. You work hard here. You cover shifts. No, you deserve it. I said, I don't know if I cried. I don't know if I cried. I think there's a part in this story that because I'm not done yet, because what happens next, you know, I always tell this story next, what happens next. But I kind of just had a moment to myself. I'm like, okay, I'm looking up, you know what I'm saying? You know, stars are aligning, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking up, I'm thanking God. I'm like, okay, you know, this is, wow. So I get to Atlanta, we do the COVID test because, you know, we're coming off of COVID. And, you know, I get into this huge Airbnb. This is actually where they shoot some of the show at. Nice place. And I meet Chris, and the first thing I say is, "You were much taller on the phone." You didn't sound
funny.
that short. You know, like some people that sound like had a deep voice, like, "You must be 7 feet." No, I'm taller than you. I'm looking down on you. Matter of fact, and you know, it was a good time. We went to the basement. The basement looks like a 5-star hotel patio. The basement looks like a living room, pretty much. Not a patio, but like a star-studded millionaire mansion type of, you know, this is a nice place. And there were other content creators there, other people that had got an invite. I think some of them had been casted, but he contacted me directly, right? So we get in this big old circle. You know how you introduce people. It's not a AAA meeting, but
Basically.
we're in this big circle, and he says, "All right, y'all, let's. I want to say thank you for everyone that's gotten here. We really appreciate you all. But this young man drove from Palm Bay, Florida, to come here. He's broke. He has no money. He don't even know what he's doing here. But I want to take the time to highlight Dorian Gayle. Hey, Dorian, what would Chris Rock say about this?" And I go and I said, "I can't believe I'm here on the set of a commercial filming for Miss Pat." And everybody is dying, right? They're like, "Yo, you sound just like him." And I always loved that moment because he didn't have to take the time to highlight me out of all these other content creators that are in this room, in a circle. The first thing he did.
He was like, "This guy's the shit." Fuck
The
all
first
y'all.
thing he did. So we filmed the commercial. It's like a 12-hour commercial. We come back, you know, the commercial airs on May 25th, right? And we're all on FaceTime and whatnot, you know, because we live in different states. So we're all on FaceTime looking at each other. Man, we're going to be in this commercial, da, da, da. Chris called me. He said, "Hey, man, we wasn't able to get your face in the commercial, but I love your attitude. You have one of the best attitudes I've seen out of any content creator that I've worked with. I work with a lot of content creators in this business. I love your gratitude. I love your work ethic. I love everything. Keep that up, and things will go very good for you." So the commercial airs. I see my back on the TV. I'm so grateful at this point that I don't even care.
Yeah.
I don't even care that my face is not on the TV. I just got on BET. You know, my back has been on BET. You know, I was so excited, and there was a little bit of a background blur. Like I could send you all the link, but that was May 25th, 2022. A week later, I'm putting up folded eggs and hotcakes in the freezer. Right? I got my phone on me. He calls me. And jokingly, this is what he says. Hey, man, my boss loves you. We're going to get you out to the BET Awards free of charge. You're going to L.A., Hollywood, California. I'm just joking with you.
Jesus.
I said, run that by me one more time. You play with me right now? He says, no, man. Clear your schedule.
No way.
I said, what? I said, I told you. You keep up the attitude. You stay grateful. You work hard. Good things will happen.
Mm-hmm.
So on June 22nd, I'm flying to LA for the BET Awards. And I hadn't been anywhere in I think around 10, almost 10 years, or 22, almost like 8 or 10 years. I hadn't been anywhere. I'd never been to another state until I like, other than Atlanta, I never flown to another state.
Yeah.
Until I was 22. And I got to LAX, which is a huge airport, by the way. And it was like celebrity treatment. There were guys that looked like they worked for Men in Black. And they said, "Are you Dorian?"
Me?
I think so.
I hope so.
You see my ID? He's like, no. Let me get your stuff. And they had this big black SUV, the big old GMCs like they do the celebrities.
Yeah.
And they put my stuff in the back of the car.
Oh, shit. That's when you know it's for
And
real.
then opened the door.
Oh, my gosh.
And they opened the door and put me in the car. They said, "Do you want water, snacks?"
Hold on. Did they like pick you up
No.
and stick you in the car?
They didn't put me in the car. They said,
Okay.
and they said, "Would you like water or tea or snacks or anything?" I said, "Dude, I don't even know how I got here."
You know what? I did the same thing to you when you got here.
Yeah.
I picked you up, put you on the couch,
Yeah.
and offered you tea.
Yeah, and I was freaking out.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's crazy.
wow.
How did I get here? Right?
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I don't even know
crazy.
how I don't even know. And they drove us to the JW Marriott. I think the JW Marriott, which is a hotel right next to the crypto arena, aka the Staples Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I get down and I call them up. I say, "Hey man, check in real quick." He said, "All right, check in." He said, "We're all of us, me, you, and Wade, and he's a guy that's starring the commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Shouts out to Terrell Wade. He does like a lot office content. When people see him, they'll recognize him online." He said, "We're in the middle of I'm looking at this hotel like, oh my gosh, how?" Like, how? And I said, "What's up, Chris?" And everybody's there, and I'm filming myself as I'm walking in because I'm like, this is a moment, man. This is a moment of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Chris, what hotel is this?" He said, "The guests are staying here." What? He said, "The guests are staying here." I said, "What do you mean the guest?" "Oh, like Jasmine Sullivan and Issa Rae and Lotto and everyone that's going to be on the show is staying here." I'm like, come on, this is someone punch me right now. Like, someone knock me out, please. He said, "Yeah, the guests stay here. Bryson Tiller, all of them, they're staying here."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, come on. So they had an itinerary for me. I got my credentials, right? So I had a big necklace that said BET production, and it said talent on it. So I can walk wherever I want to walk to.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the first thing I did, I got my credentials, checked into my room, and they had an itinerary for me. So I think it's 22nd to the 26th, I think. So I was there from Wednesday to Sunday. So that Wednesday night, we had dinner in Pasadena with the honorable, the legendary Mr. Louis Carr. Gotta thank him. I gotta thank him. President of BET Media Sales, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We had lunch with him, and he got a whole different types of treatment, man. The 3 SUVs pulled up, the Maybach, and they put us all in the. I'm like, yo, I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's happening, and we had dinner. in Pasadena. I got to meet him. For the first time. And then the next day, the 25th, the Thursday, because Chris is a nice guy. You know, when he first met me, I told him I'm a stand-up comedian, man, and I've been trying to work to get to some rooms. So what he did was he made a phone call before I flew out to LAX, and he got me a spot on Tehran Thursdays at the Laugh Factory that Thursday. And shouts out to Tehran. I couldn't believe this part. Because not only am I here as a content creator, but now I'm also here as a stand-up comedian. And if people don't know, when the pandemic hit, the Laugh Factory got so many submissions that when people were getting their performance date, it was 2-3 years out because the Laugh Factory was closed for the pandemic that time. Those submissions were getting stacked up, and there were so many. So when people would get their performance date, it would be 2-3 years out.
Yeah.
And I'm here. And I'm getting ready to, and that night, I couldn't even believe it. And he said, we're going to film it for you, make it like a little special or something like that. I'm like, man, come on, yo. Come on, man. This is incredible. Not only do I get to be here, but I have proof that I was here. You know, so I walk in the Laugh Factory, and it is just like what I'm seeing. There's like a statue of Richard Pryor, and it's wooden, and I see so many comedians from George Carlin, and even pictures of like the Don Rickles and the Eddie Murphys and the Jerry Seinfelds and oh man, the Joan Rivers, and they like the legends. And I'm looking at a comedy museum pretty much when I walk in, and I've seen this picture of Richard Pryor. This is like, it was a picture, it looks like it was toward the end of his life. He's in a wheelchair and he's got these kids around him. It was a comedy camp. And I was like, this man was really the GOAT, because he, not only did he do that, he gave back to all those kids that would become stars. I think a lot of comedians today were at his comedy camp. I believe Dave Chappelle was one of those kids that was at his comedy camp.
Really?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
he was. There's a couple of comedians that were at Richard Pryor's comedy camp. I think it was something like that. Tiffany Haddish explained that she was in his camp as well. And I'm looking at this legendary history, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And pictures of Dick Gregory and autographs, and oh man, like I was in awe.
Yeah.
Man, I get to Laugh Factory, and there's a floor upstairs and there's a floor downstairs, and it's still got that legendary wood area in there. And this was the one on Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood, the Hollywood location. I couldn't believe I was there. I go look at the lineup. I met a couple comedians there. Natalie Friedman, shouts out to her. She does skits with Desi Banks and stuff like that now, and she's in her own right. Max is nice on Instagram. I think Max the comedian, I met him as well. And of course Tehran. And like I said, shouts out to Tehran. He ended up following me on Instagram, and we've talked a couple of times, and he's, I've been on live and he's watched some of my stuff since then. And I was the last one to go up on the list that night, and they filmed it, and I'm in Hollywood, California, making people laugh, and I'm doing well. Like, well, with the footage that's quality and that's repostable, and I'm like, this is a night to remember. I'm 26 years old at this time.
Yeah.
I never thought that would happen at age 26.
Yeah.
So that night was historical. Also, I think a couple of Chris D'Eja, I'm not going to pronounce his name. He was in attendance, I believe. Brandon T. Jackson was in attendance. Walter Jones, the first Black Power Ranger.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No
was in
way.
attendance. I met him for the first time this year.
Yeah.
And I guess he was there, but I'm over here like, there's so much emotion running through my body. I don't even know what's going.
Can't even intake everything.
I just
yeah.
performed, and I killed too. Like, I made people laugh. So I'm like, I couldn't even imagine what was going on. So I guess he had left early or something like that. So that night was historical for me. So the Friday, I think the Friday we had a concert that we did that night. We did some content, and anytime there's a big event like the Super Bowl or the BET Awards or MTV, other businesses, they can make money because of all the business that's coming.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
do sales, they do all different types of things.
They pitch tents outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in the lobby of the hotel, there was a couple of events, little small events that were going on. Like, we're at the BET Awards, we got a representative, and then all those talent agencies and agents, it's so many of them flooded the lobby because everyone can make money.
Yeah.
Content and my talent was at this and my representative was here. That's like, it's lucrative. So that night we had a concert. The concert was at the Staples Center, aka Crypto Arena. It was a Summer Walker, Brandy, and Ari Lennox concert, right? And I went, I got in line. He's like, all right, you gonna be there for the concert? So I got in line, but then I realized they gave me VIP. So as a big bodyguard up front, I say, hey man, I'm supposed to be in the Hyde Lounge. What I do with this? He said, let me walk you up. This big old bodyguard just walked me up to the Hyde Lounge. And it's like, it's almost equivalent to like the sky view of an arena. So I'm up there and Mr. Carr's up there and the president of BET's up there with his wife. And I'm able to see like celebrities in the room really have fun and relax.
Yeah.
Not having camera in their face.
Yeah.
Lamar Odom.
Because they're with everyone that's the same type of people. They're on the same type. Yeah.
Lamar Odom up there. Black China and Elise Neal. And I'm like, wow, I'm dapping up and shaking these people's hands, Yeah. I got the BET necklace on. What can I say? Hey, good to see you this year. You know what I'm saying? I'm in it, and that was really cool. I don't even know if I looked at the concert. Jasmine Sullivan was performing there too. So that was really cool. And no, not only were they performing, but they were staying at the hotel. It's like they're gonna walk back up here in a second, And that was a cool part too. But I was able to see celebrities in a call. They were having fun. They were smiling and dancing, and I'm like, this is amazing to see because we don't get to see that side at all. We don't get to see that side.
Yeah, they're just regular ass people.
Yeah, we don't get to see that side at all. So that was an experience itself. So Saturday, we're getting close to the event. Saturday morning, and this is how this happened. Saturday morning, Chris called me. He said, "Man, let's go down. Let's check out let's check out the set. What it's gonna be like for the culture's biggest night on Sunday." So we go out there and we're walking the red carpet. We see all the sponsors, and Crest got their big old sign out there, and Nissan, which was one of the BT sponsors, because they give away a car like every year.
Yeah.
And I see Paula Patton getting her makeup done. She's got some assistants around her. I see Ray J walking around. I don't know what he's doing. I see him walking around, right? And we walk up to where Lewis is at, and Miss Pat is out there, right? She's out there doing her pre-show because she's hosting the BET pre-show. She's a brand new headlining not headlining night, like a brand new lineup. Her show was on the lineup for whatever night she has her show on. So she's the new comedian that is, has a sitcom, has a show on there. So she's hosting the pre-show, and she's out there, joking. And now I'm outside my comedy element, but at the same time, I'm so lucky to be here. So she comes, she say, "Hey, how you doing? How y'all doing?" Da, 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 da. I'm not in that comedy mode because I'm like, I don't know what I can say or do. I'm just glad to be here, and I'm outside. I'm outside the comedy mode. So she's like, she meets Mr. Carr. He gets off. He's real cool. Gets off, takes the glasses off, shakes her hand, whatnot, and she then she sees us. I'm with Wade and Chris. She sees us and she starts roasting us immediately. I mean, immediately. She said, "Y'all not rappers, are y'all?" and then I said, "No, because Chris was like, man, you should go do the Chris Rock impression." Now, keep in mind, producers are filming the entire time.
Yeah.
They're not, because she's getting the B-roll. This is the behind the scenes. So they're filming the entire time. I'm just like, I don't know if I should do that. And, and I go up there and I say, I do a Chris Rock impression. I just want to do my impression real quick. I came off so nervous. I wish I wouldn't have. And I wish I would have known that I could be that comfortable in my element. But I didn't want to come off because I'm not famous. Everybody here is famous. I don't want to seem disrespectful because I want this to happen again. Right?
Yeah.
So I go over there. She said, come on, do your impression. I go over there and I said, "I can't believe Miss Pat is here. Ain't nobody finna mess with her." I said something like that. And she was like, "What type of impression was that?" Right? and then I was like, I just started laughing because the camera's on me. I don't know what to say. So I just started laughing. I just laugh it off. Like it was a cool moment or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then it skips to like, she looked at the rest of me. She said, "Nice try. You'll graduate college next year," or something like that. And then the cameras kept rolling. So we walked around, we walked back to our hotel. And I think we did like some Instagram content or something like that night. So Sunday, the day of the BET Awards, Sunday morning, I think it's like 7 a.m. California time, Chris called me. He said, "Hey man, come sign these release papers." I said, "What?" He said, "Come sign these release forms. They're gonna put that clip yesterday on TV." So now at this point, I'm like, now I got to call my entire family.
Yeah.
They're going to air that when? He said they're going to air it during the BET pre-show. I said, "For real?" So I go down, I sign, and I'm like, this is amazing. I don't even care that she didn't like the impression. I don't care about none of that. I'm like, how is this still happening? Right? Now they're going to put me on TV?
Yeah, like what's next?
So, It comes around like 12 o'clock California time, and the hotel is flooded. It's flooded. And if you wanted to catch a celebrity, walking around, I don't know, you probably would have to see them in hindsight because there's so many bodyguards, managers, agents, security guards, so many people. You probably have to figure out where you can find one. So it's like 12 o'clock. I'm going back because we want to get down to the red carpet by 4. Here's where I met 2 people. I met one person. Right, I'm near the hotels. There's like, not the hotel. I'm near the elevators. There's like 4 elevators, 2 and 2. Right, in the side area of the JW Marriott. I see this guy. He's tall. He's got on a hat. He's got on like a white t-shirt and sweatpants. He's got on this beard, and I'm looking at him like, because I'm behind him. He's like where you're sitting. I'm like, this guy looks familiar. So I know how to play my cool. I walk up, I'm parallel in the peripherals. I turn my head and act like I had something in my back pocket. It's Bryson Tiller right there.
Yeah.
So I didn't say nothing to him, but his he had like two guards with him and whatnot. But I had the BT. I had the necklace on, right?
Yeah.
I work here.
Yeah.
So I went to the hotel. I followed. Everyone was getting into the elevator, right? The guards said to a couple other people that didn't have no necklace on, "Hey, no, y'all don't come here." They saw me with the badge on and said, "You coming?" So I'm like, yeah. I was just about to head up. Yeah. So I got in there. I got in there and I said, "What's up, man? What's up, Bryson?" I dapped him up, and that's it. And that was the quietest elevator ride because I didn't know what to say, what not to say. But he dapped me. He said, "What's up, bro?" And that was it. And that's how I met Bryson Tiller. Now, keep in mind, people don't know this, but for years I had been doing Bryson Tiller impressions.
Yeah.
And voiceovers. And I would do them. I would just do them. And that's how I met him. So fast forward to 4 p.m. We're down there at the red carpet. Now, I have VIP red carpet tickets, which means I'm walking around celebrities pretty much. But I had a placement. So because I was hired as talent, well, not hired, but I was there as talent, they put me in the Dove room. Dove is one of the BET sponsors that year, right? And they were live. So I'm in the room as a background talent, and the anchor is there. We're live here at the BET Awards. Now they have the little countdown. They always have a countdown where it's the VMAs, the MTV, or the BET Awards, and it has at the bottom of your screen, and it says 1 hour to the 2 hours, 59 minutes, 39 minutes is in the bottom of the screen. And I'm in the Dove room, and Chris introduced me to Tamar Braxton walked in, Jason Lee walked in, and he pulled me. Hey, say Dorian. In between, there's like cameras everywhere, just like it's set up here.
Yeah.
And in between it, he introduced me to two people. And I'm like, this is Dorian Gayle. He's gonna be one of the content creators, comedians. We got a lot planned for him. And I go back, and I'm looking at the pre-show, and they're playing the pre-show, and the people there, they say, turn around, you're on TV. And I'm looking at myself on TV while being at the BET Awards in LA. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. And I'm just thinking to myself, I got to make sure I save that clip or find it somewhere online.
Yeah.
And eventually I did. I have the clip.
Yeah.
It's on my Instagram. I think it's pinned to the top right now. And so I'm in the Dove room. So we're able to exit that room because they're done filming in that room. So we exit. So now, I think it's 30 minutes till. It's like 30 minutes till. I'm able to walk to the red carpet. I walk to the red carpet, and there's like Rick Ross there, T.I. there. I don't know who was there, so if I get a name wrong, y'all, please forgive me. But all the celebrities were there. I know Jabari Banks, I believe, who started the new version of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was there. Michael J. White, he was there. And I'm dapping up and shaking hands.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shaking hands like, hey, good to see you this year. Yeah, awesome. I'll tell you, for years I practiced this. When comedians would come to the Orlando Improv, I would talk to them after the show. Hey, man, I got a Kevin Hart, I got Chris Rock. And I would get myself used to that.
Yeah.
So now it was like the test. It was a real test. And I'm shaking hands and I'm dapping up people. I'm going to tell you when I had a reality check and I realized I hadn't made it yet. I wasn't there yet, but I was close, right?
Yeah.
But it felt good, right? There was a guy at the Staples Center door, because the red carpet's a long way and there's a bunch of, cameras and press and whatnot. They said, all right, y'all, it's time for us to go in. I'm sorry, it's us. Us? I look at a celebrity behind me. I said, yeah, it's time for us to go in. Yeah, I'm holding up it's time for us to go in. As soon as I got to the door, he was like, well, brother, you're going to go this way. They're going to go here. You're going to go here.
Yeah.
Celebrities this line, you go this way. I was like, oh, God dang it.
Yeah.
Right, but it was a reality check, but it let me know that I was close.
Yeah.
It let me know that I was close, and I experienced
Well, things
it.
just kept unfolding for you. So, yeah, no, that's a great story, and it's
We didn't run out of time, do we?
we've got probably about 10 minutes or so left. It's almost 7. I gotta head to the show.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can do this again. Like,
No,
this isn't
real-
the only
real
time.
quick.
But yeah, no.
Long story short,
ahead, yeah.
to fast forward to December of that year, he contacted me. He said, I got a project I'm working on. I said, what is it? He said, you're gonna like it. So BET was working on using content creators to tell interesting and refreshing stories about pop culture and the things that are happening in the media. He said, this is gonna be big. So I had a quick meeting with the VP of BET Social and VH1 Social. Shouts out Ashley Grayson. And everything sounded right to me. And so they sent a press person. I'm like, a press person?
Mm-hmm.
And she's gonna ask you questions, Dorian, and they're gonna ask you about things. And I said, cool. So in January of 2023, an article called 12 TikTok influencers to follow, recommended by BET. And I'm number 9.
No way.
And they put me on BET.com.
Wow. That's
And
a great
I
accomplishment.
signed to do the project. And I was like, yo, this is amazing. They gave me a professional write-up. The comedian has plans to...
BET call me a comedian?
I'm like, okay, yeah, I gotta get booked now. I gotta get booked now. So it wasn't over then. And
Yeah.
I tell you, as of right now, they're not done. They're not done. I can't tell y'all what I got going, but we had some phone calls with their.
I'm looking forward to seeing whatever it is.
You know, we're not done. I can't mention it, but you know, we're not done. 2024 was fantastic. And you know, one of my favorite people that I've liked in entertainment followed me based off of my video. I did a video in June, around June or July, and I was doing like celebrities saying Hawk Tua. Like I was doing, you know, celebrities saying Hawk Tua, like Kevin Hart. First of all, Hawk Tua, okay? Like I was doing that, and one of my favorite people followed me, and his name is Nick Cannon, and he followed me on Instagram, and Nick, who is associated with BET and things of that sort, happened to be good partners with Mr. Carr, and I happened to be going to the men's conference that happened in September. So I went to the men's conference, and that Friday, I wasn't too concerned, but I prayed, I hoped, and I met him. And I said, hey man, I love what you talked about with mental health and therapy. You followed me a couple months ago. And I led with the impression that people recognize the most. I said, I did a Bernie Mac impression. He said, oh yeah, man, I seen that. That was fire.
Mm-hmm.
And the ironic thing about that day was he was on his way to Orlando for a Wild 'N Out live show that my friends were going to.
Yeah.
And I just met him in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
So that was one of the highlights of 2024. And shouts out to everyone that supported me up until this point, even me putting my comedy special out over the past weekend. It's a journey, man. It's a journey. And if you love something that you do, you'll never work a day in your life. So
that's the truth.
Alex and friends, I appreciate everything.
Yeah.
And just find what you love, whatever you love. Am I looking at the right camera?
Yeah.
Okay. Find whatever you love and do that for the rest of your life. Find who you love and do that for the rest of your life. Yes, things can happen in life. Keep going. That's my message.
Yeah.
Now you have a nice day.
Where can people find your special?
You can find my special. It's called Dorian Gayle Live at Jackie Knight's Comedy Club. It's on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel. And if you're looking for anything regarding me, DorianGayle. My Instagram is the next Dorian Gayle. Facebook, Dorian Gayle. Threads, Dorian Gayle. TikTok, hopefully they keep it and they figure out how to keep it safe. Dorian Gayle. X, which is just like 2 X's away from porn. Also Dorian Gayle. So y'all can find me there. I love y'all, and thank you, Alex and friends.
Yeah. Follow him on all platforms, and I can't wait to see you blow up, man, because it's gonna happen.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you up there too.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad we could finally do this, by the way. Sorry, I just
this is fantastic.
I didn't want to. I had some stuff happen. I was in a very, very bad mood, and it's not good to have a conversation with somebody when you're in a negative mood. So I was like, let me put this off. But I appreciate you coming back and doing this with me. Sincerely, I want to do this again next year at some point because I want to keep talking to you. So I'm going to have people on a rotation coming in and out here. I'm moving in January, so when you come again, it'll be a whole different room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep the setup though. Keep your.
Thanks.
This is so nice.
Thanks.
Hello Kitty clock and white girls. I don't know if that's Sean or Marlon, but your family picture in the anime Naruto style, and man.
This is just, honestly, most of this stuff is just a collection of stuff over time that me and my husband have gathered, like the cars, the magazines.
But that's what makes it really cool, like the artwork.
It's me, for sure.
Yeah, the artwork is amazing. Wow.
Thank you.
No, thank you. This was awesome.
Yeah. Well, it was good seeing you, and
Yes.
we'll do it again.
Yes, absolutely.
And she keep working that back, and I'm about to throw the shit like